Oh, wait, next thing you know, you'll be doing the neighbor's house. Yes.
Personal inspiration.
Recorder is on?
We're at red light,
Black.
sir.
Sorry, Bob.
Okay, where are we now?
We're at good news and recognition.
Anybody have anything they'd like to share tonight?
I don't.
I got nothing. Keep it moving.
All right. Next is the public hearings. The first public hearing is for the retail medical marijuana establishment license for Lisbon Cannabis Company.
I will open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on behalf of this item, please step forward, state your name. Seeing no movement in the room, I will close the public hearing.
And then next is the public hearing for the manufacturing medical marijuana establishment license for Crystal Spring Healing Alternatives, LLC.
I will open the public hearing for this item as well. Anybody wishing to speak, come step forward and state your name.
My name is Mike Scalier. I'm one of the owners of Crystal Spring.
Okay, why don't you give us a little bit of background? How's that?
Okay. We have a medical store in Lewiston. We've purchased a building here, obviously, on One Upton Road. You're all familiar with that. We've done a majority of the renovations on the second floor. We thought we had temporary occupancy. Prior to the holidays, we had tried to get somebody to come over. The only person that's come through was the fire marshal, and he's been there twice. There's a couple more things apparently that we need to do, but that wouldn't take any time to be able to do the things that are required. I thought that was an ongoing process, but apparently it's for our occupancy altogether, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
But I want to keep this open, whatever questions you might have for us.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
No, Alan.
Whoop, I'm sorry.
I think that
Mr.
gentleman
Litt?
might want to. Did you want to speak? No.
It's still open. It's all you, dude.
He's an employee, that's all.
Okay.
We met with one of your inspectors. We met with an inspector today a couple hours ago. There was 3 issues with the security lights being on. You want them 24/7 around the perimeter of the building. Our security system and the odor mitigation.
Yep.
We've ordered everything as of before this meeting, and we could have that done within a week. I mean,
Okay.
It shouldn't be an issue. Everything's been ordered, and it is on the way.
Appreciate it.
Who do you meet with? Codes?
No. Brett. Brett
Oh,
went
it's
down.
Brad. Okay.
Right on. Thank you for the update. Anything on that, Brett?
No, I think that gentleman disrupted the conversation. There's a commitment to do it right there, and we can come to that.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Public hearing will be closed then. Next.
Is audience participation and response for agenda items?
Anybody wishing to speak on behalf of anything that's on the agenda, please step forward. No movement. We're moving. Next item.
Okay, is the consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Seeing none, order 2020-15 to approve the municipal accounts payable and payroll warrants number 101102020 for $13,500. That looks like $135,502.46. Number 200116 for $198,258.40. Number 2001 W2 for $18,698.23. Number 01162020 for $6,079.21. Number 121222020 for $322,759.69. And the school accounts payable and payroll warrants number 1050 for $327,783.53. Number 1051 for $7,283.20. Number 1052 for $66.24. Number 1053 for $3,673.74. Number 2012 for $94,407.57, along with the workshop minutes for January 7.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Right here. I heard Mark.
No.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah,
Jeff.
it was Jeff.
Jeff.
You have it.
You got it. All right.
Before we vote on that, now was D actually not, that was a renewal?
These are renewals, yes.
Yeah, but that wasn't mentioned, but that's also part of it, right?
Right.
Renewals will go under consent.
Okay.
first-time licenses will be under orders.
Anything else? All in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
Next.
Under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances, Order 2020, number 16, the manufacturing medical marijuana establishment license for Crystal Springs Healing Alternative LLC.
It's my understanding that we are not prepared to be able to
Right.
move on this tonight, so I would make the motion to
We'll just move
table
it
it
to
for the
another agenda.
To
following
the next
agenda.
agenda, yep.
I need a second for
I'll
that.
second that.
Is Dennis going to meet with them before we go ahead with anything?
You'll have to, yes.
Okay, so that would allow for the two things that were spoken to tonight and move that for the future agenda.
Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor? Tabling.
Passed, 7-0.
Next item.
Order 2020, number 17, the CDBG letter of intent for the facade grant program for Lisbon Falls, Lisbon Village, and the Route 196 corridor grant.
Come highlight it for us, sir.
Sure. So, a couple weeks ago, Diane and I went up and spoke with the CDBG program administrator at Augusta to get a sense for what we should be thinking about now and in the future. And with the Graziano Park Square project wrapping up and some other infrastructure work, we really feel that this year we should focus on business retention and enhancement, and that's a two-part play. The first part is this facade improvement grant. The second part will likely be a proposal for direct business support to support a couple growing companies in town. But we have a letter due at the end of this month that puts us in a position to hopefully get approved and then go to a full application process a couple months from now. 20 grand per project is how the current program is set up. 20 grand of grant funds that are matched one-to-one by the private landowner. So it's a great benefit for the town to pull in public resources from the state and really the feds, have a local match, improve the facades and improve the built environment here in town, and hopefully attract more investment by doing so.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Are those 20,000 grants or that, or less, or just 20,000?
Up to 20. So we
Up
would
to
apply for a pool of 100.
So if somebody wanted, say we wanted 10 smaller ones, we could have that.
We could. Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions, Brett? I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you. Next.
Other business, council committee reports.
Just a general housekeeping on these. Can we update the liaisons to the current assignments? Planning board should be Mr. Fellows. And I'd like to add water back now that we actually have a liaison with Mr. Fellows as well. Right?
Mhm.
All right. School.
Nothing new to report.
Planning.
The last meeting, they continue to work on the accessory dwelling units, and I think with finalizing a potential ordinance change for discussion and approval at their 123 meeting, and a possible hearing to be set after that.
Thank you. LDC.
We actually had a great meeting, last meeting, and we actually looking forward to the one in February. We actually, with the new kind of representation from the town of Brett, we actually had a very productive, orchestrated, detailed meeting, which was kind of really nice. And our next meeting will be looking at a few things, but again, the Rumble Park, looking at some a little bit more planning as we move forward. So if anybody has any interest on the Rumble site about planning it, feel free to take part and learn and add some input. So February, Brett, you actually mentioned
12th, 6 p.m. here at Town Office.
February 12th, 6 p.m. here. So feel free if you have any questions, or Brett, if any of the public has any questions, Brett would be more than happy to answer any questions or fill anybody in where we're at. So I do appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Right, we're planning on putting that up on the board and on the website, right?
Sure.
Excellent. Thank you.
Conservation. I spoke with Richard on my way in. They already got the goals, and they will meet in February. They postponed their meeting from January, and he and the missus are ballroom dancing tonight.
Nice.
That's good. Anybody knows this, Richard is obviously on the mends because he's back out on the. Very cool. Recreation.
So Mark was here earlier and kind of stole my thunder, but yeah, they're basically talking about restructuring and budget related items, gearing up for 2020 budget season. One of the things I will say that my takeaway from that meeting was Mark was looking at a contingency plan for his eventual time when he decides to go off into the sunset, and it made me think about it's a lot closer than I thought it was, the way he was talking. So I'm glad that we have somebody who's in that. It'll be hard to lose Mark, but I'm glad we have somebody who has the foresight to find. He's already looking now for somebody that kind of shares the same passion he does. So let's hope that he can find someone.
County's got nothing tonight,
I have nothing to report.
or library either. Town managers.
So we've officially closed the 2000.
Water. I'm sorry. I
Sorry.
apologize, Don.
Sorry.
I apologize.
Don't forget me.
To both of you, one for interrupting and two for butting him out.
I really look forward to liaisoning with the water department because the communications that we've had with the water department has gotten better, but it really needs to be continued. So I'm going to tell you what they told me that were their bullet points. I asked them at the end of the meeting, what are 2 points you think I should talk about? And anyway, here we go. They decided to prioritize the $1.5 million bond expenditure and highlights where work on the mains and services and valves for about 10 streets to create a redundant supply of water for gross development. That's a big deal because they've had a lot of power outages water outages. Replacement and addition of generators at Bower Street and the water department office. That's an addition in that case. A vacuum evacuator and hydraulic unit, and I don't even know what they're talking about. And replace hydrants on Pinewoods Road. That was the first item. The second item was they committed to requesting a water rate increase. And the formalized request will be sent to the financial rep to prepare for submission to the PUC. The request will then be sent to the PUC for review and acceptance. There are going to be hearings at the local level after that. And the proposed rate increase, which was approved the other night for 5/8 meters, I'm not speaking for all meters, most of them are 5/8 in town, if accepted, would be $57 per 500 cubic feet. That's up 8% from the current 53. And $3 per 100 cubic feet for any overage, which is up 25% from $2.40. They reviewed the latest water main break on Ferry Road, and without going into the details, it happened at 2:55 a.m., got reported around 5:06, and was largely under control by noon or by 7 a.m., and then by 2:33 they had it all taken care of and flushed and the whole deal. That was it.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Please.
Do you know if their Pine Woods fire hydrant replacement is something to do in coordination with our rebuilding out in that area, or is it going to be done prior? It can be done before?
I think it is.
Okay. Because I know that they weren't budgeting anything to do with water out there at all, but
No.
just curious on if the fire hydrants actually have any concerns with us redoing the road.
Well, hang on a second.
If not, it's another question you can bring next time, right?
Of course I can't find it. Okay.
Because as of right now, Diane, that water has nothing to do with what we're doing out there at all, right? No utilities underneath the road at all.
Oh, Pinewoods Road is all hydrants.
I was just curious if that's something that the plan was to do prior to our construction of Pine
I
Woods
think
Road.
it's in coordination with.
In coordination with?
Yeah.
It's like one of
There's 3 of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just curious, that's all. I would hope it'd be done before, that's all, right? Good.
Now town manager. Sorry, Diane.
So we've officially closed the 2016 CDBG grant. I just received 2 letters from DOT today about the highway preservation paving projects they're going to do this summer. One is along 196 from Lisbon to Lewiston. They're going to be putting that out to bid in February for work to be completed this summer. And then the other one is along 196 from Lisbon to Topsom. So those are the 2 areas they're going to be doing the preservation paving. And again, both projects are going out to bid in February to be done, work to be constructed, or for the work to be done during the summer. They haven't said what time, but at once I find out when they get the bids back. I just want to make sure it's not going to interfere with Moxie, so I'll have to let them know what those dates are. The Munis, I'll just give you a quick update. We were supposed to go live on taxes this week. That's not going to happen. We're not going to go live now until April. We're not ready to go live. There's some things that they haven't done on their end to allow us to go live. And I had a conference call today with the person I'm supposed to go to with a lot of issues, plus the head of the programming staff down there. And we ironed out some differences, and the ball's in their court right now to get me another pass that I can prove up. Right now we haven't been able to prove up everything that we need to prove up in order to go live, and I will not go live if the information's not correct because it's too critical. So right now in April go live, and hopefully they get me a new pass pretty soon. I don't want it the week that we go live, which is typically what they've been doing, is I don't get a pass until the implementer's here, and then we find out that the stuff's wrong, and that just doesn't work anymore for us. I just have to say that Megan has been great through this. She drops everything to get them information they need in order to do a new pass, and so hasn't Kathy. And just at the drop of the fly, they will do that, but we have not been getting the same response back from them once we give them the information. It takes them a week or more to get back to us with new data to look at. So, and I brought that up with them as well. So we drop everything on our end to get them what they need, but they're not doing the same thing for us. And that's one of the issues, and hopefully they both heard it from me this morning, this afternoon on the conference call, and I'm hoping that moving forward things are going to be different. And I followed everything up with an email this afternoon.
So, again, not that familiar with the process, but when you actually mention word pass, I assume it's the idea of being able to do a trial run?
Yep.
So what restricts the idea of not doing many? Is it financial or just on their end not having the capabilities to allow you to do it?
Data back and forth. It's data.
Data, yeah. It's data driven.
But still, what's the limitation? I mean, I guess I don't understand why they
I don't
have
either.
to wait
I
for a
don't either.
pass.
I think they're working on other communities. I really do, because we got them new data on January 3rd. We found out that the data we sent them back in October wasn't what they really needed. Didn't find out until January. We found out on December 20th, actually. January 2nd, I got an email saying this is what Westbrook does, what they have gotten them. So we called Westbrook, and we found out what they were using for reports, and we generated more reports for them, more data that they can use now. But it would have been nice to know that back in October, but that's here nor there. So anyway, we uploaded that to KiteWorks, and it wasn't until January 10th that they had a new pass for us for me to look at. And I had to get on the horn with Peter, send him an email, say, what is the holdup for this?
Is there, I mean, I guess the question to the council, and probably you've been more involved in this. I mean, it's definitely, this isn't the first day we've been working with this. It's an ongoing thing. I mean, is it a situation where the council needs to actually write a letter as a council, even from our legal, to actually figure out if we actually are not actually getting a fair pass, if you want to use the word, to actually find out? And it's not that we haven't paid the price.
No,
it's not that we haven't put in the time, but it seems so that we are definitely playing second fiddle to...
We're not the only ones, though. When I talked to Westbrook, they were supposed to go live in November, and they're still not live.
But I guess
So they're facing the same problems we are.
But if it's never documented or never actually officially on paper that we actually, as a community or a council, actually are very disappointed or actually not
It's in writing. I can assure you that whether we have an email trail, it's dated and coded and timeline.
How do you go beyond that, though?
Well, I think we're close to that, but I don't think we're there yet. And here's why I think that we kind of hold off from taking a little bit more formalized approach. Yeah. We're almost across the finish line. This is the last large module, and it is a big one.
Utilities is next.
Yeah. It is a big one when we talk about the tax piece of things, because we've got to get it right. We can't not get it right. I am far from a big proponent of Munis right now because of the way I think that we've had some times early on in this process where information wasn't free-flowing from this office to them. And so there was no way that it was going to get done because what was said one person could do was not realistic. That being said, when we finally did a reset, which Diane and I met with some of their folks, that was just last year. When we did that reset, we were like, listen, expectations are this. We're not getting the delivery. What's the problem? What's the holdup? And that's when we went through it all, when we had the previous finance director here who said, hey, I'm inundated with this. I'm not able to do my job because I'm getting run over. So we talked about strategies and how we're going to get that done. And from that point, things should have gotten better from a communication standpoint. They did up until this most recent pass, where them coming to us on December 20th telling us that the information that we provided back in October wasn't any good was absolute junk. They know it. They know it was a problem, and they know they got in front of it when Diane called them on it. But the fact of the matter is we still lost 2 months. We had made very clear, I had sat in that meeting with Diane, we made it very clear that if you don't have us in this space by January, here's what's going to happen from we're not going to say yes, we're not just going to greenlight it because we need to get this done. It's going to be right or it's not going to get done.
Yep.
What that looks like from us on the backside and what we're prepared to ask for out of this, we'll let this play out over the next couple weeks and have those discussions. Diana told me she was having this meeting, so I know she's been in contact with me regarding this. So I think she has an open line and channel to keeping us informed of what's going on. So we'll let today's meeting kind of settle and see where we land and see how much attention they're willing to go ahead and make sure that they give us to get this thing across the finish line. But if we don't see something quickly, we'll certainly talk about the remedy that you suggested.
Well, it's just more the idea. I just want to make sure that it's just not Diane coming across as someone that's actually trying to do it, and that you mean that there's not other entities in the town that actually is as frustrated. You mean that we have town staff actually kind of beating their heads against the wall and not really moving forward. You mean, which I know it's all a process. I know it's going to happen, but sometimes some businesses actually, as you know, you actually
it can go the other way on us too if we start sending formal letters.
Yep.
And that's why I'm a little reluctant to start. You know, we've spent money one way. I'm a little reluctant to start flipping a switch, spending money in a legal piece of things too. And I know you are too.
Yep. No, and that would be my last recourse, but it just doesn't sound like at times. As long as we're documenting it really well, and other communities are the same thing.
Everything's in writing.
They're definitely not proving to be the company that we originally signed on for. So, I mean, knowing this all in the past, I mean, we'd probably have a totally different approach of what we did.
I think implementation has been the biggest challenge and had I known, unfortunately, we weren't there when the bill of goods were being, we weren't in the actual, we were there for the final, here's the 3 products, which one do you like the best? We weren't in the actual, here's what implementation's going to look like. Because then I think if we would have had that information at the time of making decisions, we could have countered the one finance director who said, I can do it all. Because that was just an absolute ridiculous thought process to think that one person was going to go ahead and take on this entire implementation when we've seen what we've gone through over these last years with putting 2 resources on it or having one dedicated resource and then have a bunch of other part-timers. It's been a nightmare. So I think that we would have planned a lot more. Planning would have gone into how do we need to implement this and what resources do we need to allocate, because we wouldn't be here and our experience wouldn't be so bad. I don't think we'd have as much heartburn had we been able to see the full scope.
Building every single module from the ground up, which that is not what I thought we were going to be doing.
Yeah, there's no way in anyone's right mind that one person could have been responsible for and met timeline and continue to do their own job here.
No,
I just think, like you said, from a prep standpoint, had we been in the know on what preparation needed to happen, we could have then allocated more resources accordingly, so we would have set ourselves up for success versus what we've been hitting now.
It sounds like it was more of a sales approach too, because other communities sound like they're in the same circumstance. So it definitely wasn't Lisbon wasn't by itself in that ordeal. So
and that's the other side of it too. If I looked around and I heard that other communities it was in and out in 6 months and they were done, and here we are, but that's not the case. And we're a smaller entity. There are some larger places that are definitely in a lot worse place off than we are.
Yep. I just want to make sure that Diane knows that she has the council behind her. That I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's one of hopefully the frustration actually pays off. I mean,
Norm knows how frustrated I am. He heard it last week, And they heard it today, big time.
That's good. If they don't know, they will never know, right?
Well, they know now.
They do.
They knew before, but now they know with
Yep.
no small terms.
There you go. Good deal.
You know, it's the fact that we're busy here. We really are busy, and we drop everything to get them what they need so that we can get something in a timely manner. They're not doing the same thing back. That's what gets me more than anything, is we're dropping everything to get them the data they need.
Commitments,
Partnership. Yeah.
commitments, and I know that you talked to them about this today, but letting them understand that, more importantly, letting them also understand that there are clear timelines that we're setting up again, and we'll be a little less likely to be as forgiving next time around.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have.
Is,
Enough, right?
Are you able to share the lighting project information that you
Oh,
shared
yes. So starting yesterday, CMP is in town now, or Target is in town doing the LED conversions on all of our street lights. And the CMP told me it'd take about 3 weeks from start to completion.
That's all the overhead, big ones.
The big ones, yeah, and the, it's just the big ones, because they don't have the conversion kits yet for the decorative lights.
You realize by saying Target's in town, that's going to generate a severe buzz on and our friends on social media. They'll be asking where it's probably going to go on the Rumbo site. So you heard it here first, folks.
And the reason we're excited about that is the estimated savings on that project year was like somewhere between $10,000 to $12,000,
Yeah,
right?
I think,
so
yeah.
once you're
So
actually
I can
implemented,
fill that into the budget this coming year, some of
Yep.
those savings,
that's exciting stuff. So
It's another one for social media. The light's coming on soon. So
I'm anxious to see how bright they're going to be.
Will we be able to tell what they look like when are they going to be whiter lights or something?
LEDs, right?
Yeah, LEDs, they should be,
Yeah, well.
yeah.
So you know the ones on the road that come at you, you can't see anything?
Yes.
Like that.
Have you seen them around? I've wondered where they started. They're
The only ones I see are the solar ones we have right now.
I have no idea where they're starting. I haven't seen them. Has anybody else seen them?
No,
Pretty quick turnaround for them, though. I can't imagine.
I know there's I thought when I saw the list, there was over 500.
Oh.
Well, that might be including the other lights too, but
I'd say they
there's
get pretty
hundreds
good
they're
at it
going to be
because there's a lot
doing.
of them happening in the state, right?
Right.
So eventually you get pretty productive.
Yeah.
Next
And
item.
the other,
Oops, sorry.
sorry, and the other thing that you had mentioned today about, because this always gets asked, is the idea of the village street lights. That is actually a process coming forward.
Yes, that's coming in February. CMP is going to flip the switch. Can't remember the date I sent you. Was it 3rd?
I think, it's February 3rd.
Yes,
I just
it
wanted,
was.
because I know that a lot of people have asked, so.
They've all been retested, and Randy contacted them, and hopefully when they flip the switch, they'll work. And our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I'm all good,
Thank you.
Moving
I
forward.
need to have this with me at home so I can jot everything down, because I sent you all that information from home yesterday.
Department head written reports.
Any questions on content submitted?
I think we're getting good information, so.
Next one.
Appointments, Order 2020, number 18. Confirm the LDC appointment change for Don Fellows as a planning board member to the counselor member.
Make that motion if it's necessary.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 7-0. And then-
I don't know if you've been elevated or downgraded, but it still sticks.
I think I should recuse myself from that one.
I added the liaisons to the LDC, and as soon as I get time, I'll put a liaison position to the other boards that you have chosen as well. We'll keep track of that on boards and committees.
Thank you. Next.
Counselor communications.
Anybody got anything? I have two, because it's housekeeping that's been brought up. Can you give us a bit of an update on manager evals and if you're needing anything from anybody?
I've only received 2.
So let that be said, the fact that if you have something, Cassie's looking for that. And from there, we can schedule a get-together for everybody at the beginning for an executive session to be able to discuss content and go over that. Okay, so if you can get that to Cassie, we can go from there. Next item that I heard, and it was Bird just brought it. Go.
I just want to remind you that I will miss the next 2 meetings,
Okay.
so you don't forget me.
Light.
I will also be missing the next meeting.
Okay. Perfect. We got 2 excused absences that we're voting on actually coming up in the future here. Finance Committee. Have we received any more applications other than the 2? Putting a plea to the corner here. The fact is, we are trying to institute a reboot of the Finance Committee. We're actively trying to get people engaged associated with that. Fern offered and partially requested reaching out to groups that we're affiliated with, so he's going to be bringing it to PCL, the LDC. There's a lot of talented people there. We're not looking to actually continually go to the same group, but at the same time, if they know a resource that isn't being tapped for that kind of success, that we actually get involved with it. Likewise, anybody see George Roy in passing? If he can give us 3 or 4 names to be able to help. I mean, I know we consistently go to him, but if George can give us a couple of leads, again, that would be beneficial. Same as Sean. Sean, if he actually, if you could hit him up at the planning board, the fact is to be able to see if we can get a couple names too. I like the way he helps with.
I'll see him Thursday.
He does a lot with the hiring, so I like where his head's at too. That was the only 2 that I had heard in the last week or so. Anybody else have anything for communications? Moving right along, Tyler.
Audience participation for new items?
Anybody wishing to address us on anything else that's on your mind that's not on the agenda, please step forward.
Jason Smith from Lisbon Cannabis. I know there's some new rules and regulations coming down from the state as far as asking towns to sign off on like grows, processing facilities, extraction facilities, basically everything that you can do through the state, they're asking the town to sign off on. So when we do our applications, we got to check everything that we do. Since day 1, we've been able to do edibles in-house, so I do my own tinctures. And now, looking at the town rules and regulations, in order to be a manufacturer or a processor, it's a $250 fee. Now, I've been doing it all along, and every caregiver or everybody that is a caregiver has that right to just in-house edibles. Do I have to go through a whole other application and a whole other process to see the planning board and council, or can I pay the $250 fee and just continue to do the tinctures and the edibles right out of the facility that we grow in?
My recommendation would probably be something that we could look into and see. I'm not sure that we could actually make a decision right now, but.
So I kind of wanted to bring it up.
I do understand the process,
Putting it on our radar, I understand what you're saying, and so I think that we certainly, to your point, I think we would just need to do a little bit of research to figure out what it is that makes the next brave new world we're in. So it means that when these changes come, we need to make sure that we're doing it right across the board.
Exactly.
For everyone.
Mr. Chair, I don't think it's a planning board involvement as long as you're not involving a new place.
Yeah.
It's all about the licensing and
Absolutely.
Can I ask another question?
Yep.
You got me thinking, are they divorcing themselves from actually enforcement and trying to push it back on the communities, or where are they going with that?
They just want to make sure that the town, everybody in the town is aware of what's going on in the town. So every caregiver that applies now, since it's pretty much they're leaving it up to town whether they want people to do whatever it is they want to do, they want to make sure that they have town approval is all. So
with that being said, so if there's actually any grows in the community, they would actually need to have the local blessing to be able to continue doing it.
That's what they're asking for, on all the new applications.
Yeah, which I guess at the time would be whether or not how we actually enforce that, and actually how we actually.
I was going to say, isn't that still slightly different? And the fact is, everything they've told us has been taken care of at the state level, so you're not involved. Is that a correct assumption on what I?
Could you say that again?
To this point, it's the fact is it's been something that we've heard that's between you and the state.
Yes. Yep. So that's.
But why are they reversing now? Actually trying to.
Because what has happened is that you got a lot of processors, a lot of like extraction labs where they're using explosives and those types of things. People are setting up grows in apartment buildings where the electrical just isn't up to date or up to code. So they want the town to know, hey, there's a grow in this apartment building, and then
the visibility that was lost
might not be a good idea.
So
Let's go to codes.
They're not going after you or every other established business that's coming to us. It's actually the dipshit that's actually doing this stuff that's actually not doing anything legit.
They just want to make sure the town knows, yes, where everything is.
Yeah.
They want the town to be aware because there's been
Which
so
is
many
what you've
towns-
heard from us from day one.
Yes, exactly.
Every one of you guys that comes forward associated with that, you're going to get less scrutiny associated with it. We know that's the unsupervised individual that's doing
Those, exactly. So they're going to be able to distinguish really easy and quick. I mean, on probably their database, whatever they have, to say, yes, this is a grow, and the town does approve it, or no, it's definitely not. So.
Do you know if the state actually has a database that actually says who has actually been? I mean, that's a question. We approached that, and we actually got zero of that information, right? Remember when we asked the state to provide a list of
Everything has been
know.
so confidential
Yeah.
up to this point. I mean, it's all been behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So even the state really didn't want everyone knowing. I don't think.
Yeah.
But now it's out there everywhere, and they know there is some dangers to it. The extraction, some of the grows are. I mean, it takes a lot of power. So there is things that are happening. So they just want everyone to be on the same page, I think.
The pendulum swinging back the other way is my guess on this, is because it was so tight-lipped and you didn't know anything about it, and we had no visibility. You'd find out, somebody
finally called them out.
Somebody bought a residential house in a community like the Gross Development, gutted it and then just had a grow going there, and that was the whole time, and you wouldn't know unless you saw the meter spinning out. So that kind of stuff, and I think it's swinging back the other way where they have all of this. But my question with that now is if they're going to make folks who are doing these businesses check off, I do this, 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 and this, and you have a grow, then you're going to have to identify where that grow is at.
Mhm.
And so that's a matter of public record, is it not? I could go get a license. I could pull a license on anything and know where your grows are.
Yeah, I
Just asking. I'm putting it out there. So it goes from
believe
one.
it now is, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It goes from one
to
extreme to the other extreme. So there'll be a middle ground. I just think right now we're kind of seeing that
It's not
swing.
secret now, though.
Right.
what is it?
But up until now, it's been on a need to know, and we were clearly
Yeah.
told we didn't need to know.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually have how many licensed grows in town right now? None, right? Actually, as a
License? Right.
licensed as a in manufacturing, we actually have the first application in front of us, right?
Right.
So,
First one.
so that's the first one. So, which we all know that there's multiple
What are you
manufacturing in the
considering
community.
Manufacturing. That's
What's-
kind of. What are you considering manufacturing?
Well, I mean, pretty much the one that comes through is basically just a grow. I mean, that's what they were actually looking for. So, I mean, the application that came tonight as far as the public hearing was actually they're
So
looking.
you're doing something more than just selling it on
They're
site.
doing more than selling.
Okay, because my understanding for manufacturing was like edibles and doing an extra step on top of growing, because I didn't think that there was a permit for caregivers in the town yet.
There is not a
I
permit.
didn't think so, yeah. So anybody in the town right now could become a caregiver in anywhere in the whole town.
But with that being said, I guess, so the difference is so say you're a caregiver and you actually you're growing enough for one person in your house. I mean, is that saying that you got to go through that same checklist that the state's requiring, or is actually more of a commercial grow is what you're actually talking, right?
No.
So even an
Anybody
individual
with one
growing,
plant growing for one person, if that's what they choose,
Yeah.
or that same person growing 36 plants or 60 plants for two people,
Yeah.
would fill out the same exact application.
they would. So you're saying, kind of what your question is in a sense, is everybody have to pay a $250 if they're actually being a manufacturer or?
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. What is manufacturing considered? Is it growing? Because growing is actually caregiving, so that's not really manufacturing. Manufacturing is more like making stuff. So if I've got
So, I mean, that-
concentrated oil, and
whatever's
extraction
mixed
would be an extraction gig.
And going back to Dawn, I mean, I think there was some pretty defined definitions when we actually did the three categories, because the state looks at the three categories also. I mean, the only one that we've actually addressed in our community at this point right now is actually sale. We've never,
It's all medical, too.
but as far as, again, the three different is what?
Yes,
Sale,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Manufacturing and the testing, right? Those are the three.
Yeah.
The only ones we have permits for, say.
So we only have one permit that's processing for manufacturing at this point.
Yeah.
Everybody else is doing it.
Manufacturing could go from
Yeah.
a crock pot with some trim in it
Yeah.
to a huge, elaborate, high-pressured vessel with explosives extracting the same exact thing.
So you're actually saying that growing is not manufacturing.
In your licensing, the way it's written, no.
So I guess the question we had tonight before us, I mean, is it actually a legitimate question of what we're asking for through that public? I mean, I would assume it was from what I know going through. So if someone's coming in and looking for a manufacturing license, they're actually leaning towards the grow part of it, because part of the requirement is actually proper ventilation and odor control and stuff like that.
Manufacturing has to be in the same location.
Right.
If it was me coming to the council asking for a manufacturing permit, then I would be asking for an extraction, because manufacturing isn't really growing.
So let me ask you a question. Again, I thank you for doing this, because this is a back and forth, which I appreciate the opportunity. You're not being forced to do anything, so anytime just tell us to be quiet. But so with, say, a facility like yours, was there ever any requirement ever for odor control or anything when you did your license? Because the license strictly was for sale, it wasn't for grow.
There was for the sale.
There was
So
for
I
sale.
need the odor control because I sell it, but I didn't need odor control because I grow it.
That's because that was,
I'm just following the rules.
that grow existed before that, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even if it didn't now, there's no ordinances zoning people out for growing, so people could still do the same thing. So somebody could go into a residential area, set up a grow, and have no ventilation.
See, I disagree from reading as a counselor from what the interpretation of that, the three parts the state was doing.
Yep.
And we actually, as a counselor, I took the first part of just retail, for sale, meaning storefront.
Yep.
The second part for actually being a grower and manufacturing. Manufacturing, whether or not you're growing, baking, doing what to me, that was all in that same part, because it didn't fit into the retail sale of it. I mean, it was actually a different entity. And then the testing. So I guess we have some more questions to ask.
We have a lot of questions, and some of the towns nearby here, like Topsom, have just addressed this whole thing and studied it in great depth. That's something we haven't done, except as the planning board from planning standpoint.
It's not that we haven't spent the time. It's just it changes all the time.
No, we haven't. I don't think we've done a pointed study on the medical and the recreational and all that, what we're doing and what we're not doing. We need to.
At this point, recreational, we don't have to worry about, because we, as a
Well,
town,
we
haven't
don't
even
because we haven't
addressed
opted
it
in, but you know. Anyway, there's more to it, as we know. There's
The
more
way
to
the
it.
state is looking at it, so it's cultivation, manufacturing, testing, extraction.
Right.
There's one more. It's not coming to me right now. Maybe processing.
So there are actually 5 or 6 different segments versus the 3 that they were looking at
Yes,
before.
because-
Now, when did these actually get revised? Was it just recently?
No, it's always been.
Really?
Through the state, it's always been cultivation for growing. Manufacturing has always been a fine line between extracting and cooking. So it all depends on who the town is and who interprets it. That's why I was kind of wondering how Lisbon was looking at it.
There was a big discussion about the idea of the growing versus the idea of the manufacturing.
Yes.
And we actually, I believe at the time, thought it all got grouped into all that second group of I mean,
No,
I know
I'm saying-
strictly when as a council,
Yep.
and I'm only speaking for myself, when someone like yourself came forward as far as for being a retail sale,
Yep.
Storefront, it didn't actually include growing.
No.
It was strictly the idea of the storefront itself.
It still doesn't.
What?
It still doesn't.
Again, but if there's, so I mean, to me, the growing part of it's a totally different entity than anything that we would have permitted in the past.
Yep. So maybe you guys might want to just think about looking at the cultivation part of it and maybe putting that somewhere in the land use chart and possibly, I don't know about fees or whatever, but I know everything else has a $250 fee. But
So if it's not permissible under our codes right now, it's just not allowable, right, in a sense?
No, because.
But, I mean, if you're saying that
medically
if
you'll
the
have to
state is actually passing it from the state
You're
to
gonna
the
find-
municipality,
Yep.
and the
You're
municipality
going to
doesn't,
find a lot of growers
Yep.
in this town, basically.
which
So-
we know, just the idea of how that actually came up front, because
Yep.
in the past, we haven't had the legal ability to actually find out who they are,
Yep.
or actually say no or yes, so.
Exactly. Yeah. And now everything's changing. Like it changes every year. So
I guess we just need to
I think
actually,
we need
I
to
don't think
find a way to
anything's gonna
address
change
it.
as far as who can grow. I don't think anybody's gonna.
no.
This
Right.
is more about
There's
visibility than it is
no-
about permission.
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's more the idea of what, as a community, if something's getting handed down to us to actually not regulate or control, in a sense, we just need to know how that's being done and how it fits in, because
Right.
I'm still a little bit confused now about the earlier public hearing about we were having as far as the requirements we were putting in, because we felt that fell underneath the the manufacturing more so than the idea of cultivation.
That's a big step. Like I was looking in the manufacturing and / extraction part, and just to get a room up, I mean, you're talking $150,000, and that's before you put any equipment into that room to start doing any of this stuff. So it's pretty extensive.
I would only assume that the fire marshal has a pretty good awareness of what actually needs to be done, and actually, if they're signing off at a state level, that actually is actually looked at.
And just to get the engineers okay through it cost me almost $5,000. To find out it was going to cost me $150,000 to build a room.
Yeah. So we don't actually have any documentation on engineering or anything of the facility, right? That's, again, it's one of those things that there's so many questions of how that comes up because the first one actually comes to the council. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions or anything, you guys can reach out to me. I am working with a couple people through the State House to see, just to work with them on some of the laws. Like a big thing is making sure Mainers can survive in this market, because we started so small and we've been so limited. We've only been able to do so much. I mean, you guys see me here year after year trying to get a store and then work with a couple extra people, and now we have a lot of big people moving in, like a lot of big money people, where they can come in and just wipe us out in a second.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you guys working with us, and if you have any questions, feel free to just reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
Just
in
more
tonight.
questions and answers, right?
Yes.
Anybody else?
Robert Casma, Lisbon Falls. I just want to thank the town for purchasing new lights for me for the gazebo and the tree. I wanted to tell Mark what he left. Thank you.
Looks very nice.
And the town of Richmond is a little bit jealous of our gazebo and tree. I found that out through the grapevine. But yes, thank you. My family's been doing this for 17 years now, and we're very proud of it, and I hope you guys are proud of the way it looks when you drive through town. And I will be shutting the timers off at the end of the month.
And, hey, stay up just a minute. I have a question. I do realize the Christmas lights, okay, the decorations, but is the white lights around the ring?
Yeah.
To me, that's a really nice touch. Is that something you keep up during the summer, or is that usually shut
No,
up?
we take them down.
I wouldn't even mind if the white lights around the edge actually stayed on during the summer. I think that's actually a nice touch.
Actually, last year, I left them up all summer long because I knew I was going to have to buy new ones.
Yeah.
The LED lights will last 6 years
Yep.
before they start to turn yellow,
Yep.
and they just don't look good.
Is there an option to leave the white lights on year round?
I can leave them on.
I just think that actually driving by, it actually just gives a really nice appearance to the park during the winter. It makes it look.
The ones on the roof or just the icicle lights?
I'm not sure. I'd leave that up to you. You're the
Let's
one that
do a
actually
drive-
does it.
do a drive
It's just
by
one of those
tonight,
things. I think good driving by in the evening, it actually does light up that area, and if nothing, it may actually give a little bit of more visibility.
Well,
You mean?
All right, I'll leave the icicle lights in the roof.
Again, I've had people comment to me that they like. They like the ambiance of driving by and seeing that
Christmas-
lit up.
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, I set the timer. It doesn't shut off until 2 in the morning, so it's kind of like a beacon coming through town. So, and then I turn it back to like 11 o'clock.
Yep. It was just. I mean, this may not even be possible. I think it actually adds a nice touch to it. So that's all. It keeps it
And I
lit up.
noticed they changed the lights on the big tree itself, so that looks pretty good. So.
Yep.
All right, but anyways, thank you again.
Thank you.
Yep. From a rocket ship to a Christmas tree.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anything else? Moving right along, Clara.
Executive session none. Order 2020-19 to adjourn.
Before we do that, we talked about Brett with solar. Can you put that on his radar?
Yeah, I already talked to him about it.
Okay. Just when is he gonna bring it to us?
Probably not anytime soon.
Okay, that's fine.
Got a lot on his plate.
No, I don't disagree. It just
Yeah.
if there is an opportunity to at least hear it from him to be able to give you time to prepare. That's all I was looking at. Thank you.
I brought that to his attention, and
I had
I know what you're talking about.
solar opportunities. We had the letter from Thompson last meeting.
Oh.
I really didn't want to hear from an ad hoc group when we actually have a resource that could actually do that type of deal. I don't see what's in it for them. I had a first on a motion.
Second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
was everybody done with the open session?
If there was anybody else, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Ron?
sorry.
Sorry.
Matt Dunn, I live on Main Street in Lisbon Falls. I grew up here, just moved back a little over a year ago, and I'll ask 2 questions because I went back through the council archives and didn't see anything more recent than 2018. One, is there still an EMS subcommittee?
And two, where does the town stand on providing funding for Lisbon EMS? As the document I saw from 2018 mentioned that they would possibly be requesting funding on a per capita basis from Lisbon and also, I believe, Bowdoin or Bowdenham, I don't remember which.
Want me to answer that?
Please.
You
So-
can answer the first one. That's the first one. Yes, absolutely. Go.
So they do. They have a board of directors, and our finance director is a member of the board of directors, and my fire chief is as well. As far as the funding, this will be the fiscal year 21, the budget we're going to be beginning will be the third payment according to that document you're looking at. It told for each year it gave so they're not going up. It's going to be exactly what they provided us back in 2018. So that amount, it is going up to, I think it's going up like 50,000, but it's not changing from that document.
So we have been supplementing their
We have
budget
been this will be the third year that we supplement it, and it's according to that document. So the amounts in the document are staying. They're not changing, so it is good. This will be the third year that it goes up.
Yeah, unfortunately, the opioid crisis, I know, has hit a lot of, places like all around the country with those,
That was just a
small volunteer
projection.
groups like that have just really struggled.
That was just a projection back then, and because they were going to change the amounts if they needed to, if it wasn't going to be enough, but based on some of the changes that they've made, this year's allocation is going to be just what they projected 3 years ago.
The short version of that. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure, I mean, I believe their board meetings are actually public meetings, right? So, I mean, if you're interested, and I'm sure reach out, and I'm sure you can find out when the next one is if you actually wanted to attend, just to see the what it gets done. It's actually quite professional now, the way they go through. Not that it always has not been in the past, but I mean, they have actually, it is very much a combined effort to make sure that we move forward and keep the correct EMS service in our community. So
3 years ago, we were looking at 3 different options: closing the doors, working with, or working in other alternatives. The other alternatives actually became response time from Russell Street at best, and it is not acceptable in this community to actually put a price tag on somebody's life or death situations for care. So we are definitely very much in the proactive partnership mode to be able to help EMS stay in the area as long as we can.
And to their credit, they came to us well before this was, they didn't come with 30 days left in their budget or they shut their doors. They came well in advance to say, this is what we project, this is what will happen, we will cease to exist at this point. And they talked to us, and they were great partners. They understood our asks, and it was a very uncomfortable spot for them to be in, but I admire and applaud their leadership for taking the initiative to come and sit down with council and say, this is, we feel is some sort of service to the community that we want to make sure that they still want, because we're not sure that we can continue to provide it without additional support. And so that's how it went out, to Alan's point. Went out to the community to say, hey, this is what we're looking at options. Provide them with some subsidy to keep them going, let them go away and choose another option, and here's the other option, and this is what the response time would look like. So the community came out and let us know pretty clearly what they wanted, and our partners at Lisbon EMS were good enough to go ahead and work with us so we could get something that let us all know that everybody's got skin in the game on this one. So,
Including Bowdoin. We can't afford to lose any more but Dan's partners. The fact is the cooperation between us and Bowdoin has been mutual. We've had these conversations last 2 years as well. They were part of our budget discussion this past year. Good question. Thank you.
thank you for coming tonight.
Violet, back to you.
Motion to adjourn?
I had
Motion.
that. I had the second right here, too.
Okay,
All in favor?
7-0. Order passed.
thank you.
Thank you all.
I got to be honest with you, first pulled that out.
That's it, Tim? I was just going to lean